Ever feel like your thoughts control you instead of the other way around? What if you could rewire your brain, reshape your reality, and even heal your body just by shifting your mind? Science now proves this is possible, and I'm here to show you how. I'm Dr. Joe Dispenza, and after years of research in neuroscience and quantum physics, I've uncovered a powerful truth. Your thoughts don't just influence your emotions, they change your biology, your energy, and your entire reality. People have healed chronic illnesses, broken free from limiting beliefs, and created extraordinary lives, all by mastering their minds. This isn't theory, it's science. Meditation isn't just for relaxation. It's a tool to reprogram your subconscious, build new neural pathways, and step into a new version of yourself. We are all connected through a greater consciousness, and your thoughts shape more than just your own life. You have the power to shift from reacting to your environment to creating your future. Imagine waking up every day in control of your thoughts, emotions, and destiny. If you're ready to unlock your full potential and transform your life, stay with me until the end. The power to change everything is already within you. Let's activate it. Welcome to our channel. We're dedicated to bringing you cutting-edge information and practical tools for personal growth and transformation. And if you like what you see and you want to be part of this growing community, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. We have so much more to share with you. Before we talk about the practical techniques for transformation, we need to understand the fundamental principle that underlies it all: the sheer, undeniable power of the mind. It's a power we often underestimate, a force we rarely consciously direct. We think of our thoughts as just fleeting mental events, but there's so much more than that. They're the architects of our reality. Think about it. Every invention, every creation, every innovation started as a thought in someone's mind. From the light bulb to the internet, from the pyramids to the space shuttle, it all began with an idea, a mental image, a thought that was nurtured and brought into physical form. Now, if our thoughts can shape the external world, imagine the impact they have on our internal world, on our bodies, our health, our emotions, our very being. The truth is, our thoughts are constantly influencing our physiology. They trigger the release of hormones, neurotransmitters, and other chemicals that affect everything from our heart rate and blood pressure to our immune system and digestion. And think about a time you felt stressed or anxious. Your thoughts, those worries and fears, manifested physically as tension in your muscles, a knot in your stomach, maybe even a headache. That's the mind-body connection in action. But it's not just about reacting to stress. It's about understanding that we have the power to choose our thoughts and therefore influence our physical and emotional states in a positive way. We're not just passive recipients of our thoughts. We can become active directors of them. And that's where the concept of rewiring the brain comes in. Our brains are incredibly adaptable, a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. This means that our brains are constantly changing, forming new connections, and pruning old ones based on our experiences, our thoughts, and our actions. Every time we think a thought, we're essentially carving a pathway in our brain. The more we repeat that thought, the stronger that pathway becomes. Think of it like walking through a field. The first time you walk through, you're just bending the grass. But the more you walk the same path, the more visible it becomes, until eventually it's a well-worn trail. The same is true for our thoughts. The more we dwell on a particular thought, the more ingrained it becomes in our neural circuitry. This is both good news and bad news. The bad news is that if we consistently think negative or limiting thoughts, we're reinforcing those patterns in our brain, making them more automatic, more habitual. We get stuck in these ruts of thinking, and it becomes harder and harder to break free. But the good news, and this is the truly empowering part, is that we can intentionally rewire our brains. We can choose to think different thoughts, to create new pathways, to cultivate new habits of mind. This isn't just some feel good wishful thinking, it's based on solid scientific principles. Research has shown that meditation, for example, can actually change the structure and function of the brain. It can increase the gray matter in certain areas associated with attention, emotion regulation, and self awareness. It can also strengthen the connections between different brain regions, leading to greater mental clarity and emotional resilience. But it's not just about meditation. It's about being mindful of our thoughts throughout the day, noticing the patterns, the recurring themes, the emotional charge behind them. It's about challenging those thoughts, questioning their validity, and choosing to replace them with more positive, empowering ones. It's about consciously directing our attention, focusing on what we want to create rather than what we want to avoid. This takes effort, of course. It's not easy to change deeply ingrained thought patterns, but with consistent practice, with intentional effort, we can literally rewire our brains for success, for happiness, for health. We can create new neural pathways that support the life we want to live. We can shift from being victims of our thoughts to being masters of our minds. And that is the key to true and lasting transformation. It's about understanding that the power to change resides within each and every one of us. It's just a matter of learning how to harness it. This is where so many people get stuck. They mistake the discomfort of growth for a sign that they're on the wrong path. They interpret the resistance as evidence that they're not capable of change. And so they retreat back into their comfort zones, reinforcing their old patterns and limiting their potential. But what if instead we could learn to see discomfort as a sign of progress? What if we could recognize that the resistance we're feeling is actually a sign that we're on the verge of a breakthrough? What if we could learn to embrace discomfort, to welcome it as a necessary part of the journey? This is a key insight that I've explored extensively in my work. I've observed countless individuals who have achieved remarkable transformations, who have overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. And one of the common threads that runs through their stories is their willingness to embrace discomfort. They didn't avoid it, they didn't run from it. They learned to work with it, to move through it, to use it as fuel for their growth. Now, this doesn't mean that it's easy. Change can be incredibly challenging. It can bring up deep seated emotions, unresolved traumas, limiting beliefs that we've been carrying for years, even decades. It can force us to confront our fears, our insecurities, our shadow selves, and that can be incredibly uncomfortable. But it's in those moments of discomfort, when we're willing to face those challenges, that true transformation takes place. It's in those moments that we have the opportunity to break free from our old patterns, to rewrite our stories, to create a new future for ourselves. So, how do we learn to embrace discomfort? One of the first steps is to change our perspective. Instead of seeing discomfort as something to be avoided, we can choose to see it as a signal, a sign that we're growing, that we're expanding our capacity, that we're becoming more than we were before. We can learn to reframe our experience, to see the discomfort not as an enemy, but as an ally, a partner in our journey of transformation. Another important step is to develop self-awareness, to become more attuned to our inner landscape, to notice the physical sensations, the emotional shifts, the mental chatter that arises when we're facing a challenge. By becoming more aware of these internal processes, we can begin to understand our own unique patterns of resistance. We can learn to recognize the signs that we're about to retreat back into our comfort zone, and we can choose to respond differently. Instead of giving in to the urge to avoid the discomfort, we can choose to lean into it, to explore it, to understand what it's trying to teach us. And finally, it's important to cultivate self compassion. Change is hard. It takes time, effort, and resilience. We're going to stumble along the way. We're going to have moments of doubt, moments of frustration, moments when we feel like giving up. And that's okay. It's all part of the process. What's important is that we don't beat ourselves up about it, that we treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, that we recognize that we're doing the best we can, and that even the smallest steps forward are worthy of celebration. Because it's in those small steps, those moments of courage, those times when we choose to embrace the discomfort, that we truly begin to transform. Many years ago, I was a very active person. I loved sports, particularly triathlons. I was training for a race when a serious accident occurred. I was hit by a car while cycling, and the impact was devastating. The doctors told me I had a severe spinal fracture. The prognosis was grim. They said I would likely need surgery, multiple surgeries, and that even then, the chances of a full recovery were slim. They painted a picture of a life limited by pain and disability. Now, hearing that kind of diagnosis, facing the prospect of a life so drastically altered, was terrifying. I was in a lot of pain, both physically and emotionally, but something inside me, a deep inner knowing, refused to accept that prognosis as my destiny. I couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be another way, that there was more to healing than just the physical interventions. And then I started to think about my own experience. I realized that even in the face of this severe injury, I still had the power to choose my thoughts, to direct my attention, to cultivate a different inner landscape. I decided to take control of my healing process. I decided that I wasn't going to be a victim of my circumstances. I was going to be an active participant in my recovery. I began to visualize myself healing. I would spend hours each day in a deep state of meditation, imagining my spine mending, my nerves regenerating, my body becoming whole again. I didn't just passively visualize, I truly felt it. I conjured up the emotions of gratitude, of joy, of wholeness. I immersed myself in the feeling of being healthy and strong. Now, I know this might sound a little unconventional, even a little far fetched, but I was determined. I was committed to this process. I knew deep down that the power to heal resided within me, and I was going to do everything I could to tap into that power. I also made some changes to my lifestyle. I focused on nourishing my body with healthy foods. I practiced mindfulness throughout the day, paying attention to my thoughts and emotions. I surrounded myself with positive influences, with people who believed in the power of healing. And slowly but surely, I started to see progress. The pain began to subside. My mobility started to improve. I was regaining my strength. And eventually, much to the surprise of my doctors, I made a full recovery. I didn't just heal, I thrived. I came back stronger and healthier than I was before the accident. This experience was a profound turning point in my life. It wasn't just about physical healing, it was about realizing the incredible potential that we all have within us, the power to shape our reality, to influence our health, to create the lives we want to live. It was about understanding that the mind and body are not separate entities, but interconnected and interdependent systems. And it was about recognizing that we have a much greater capacity for healing and transformation than we often realize. This personal journey ignited a passion in me to understand the science behind this phenomenon, to explore the mechanisms by which our thoughts and emotions can influence our physiology. It led me to dedicate my life to researching the mind body connection and sharing these insights with others. Because I believe that everyone has the potential to heal, to grow, to transform. And I'm committed to empowering people with the knowledge and the tools they need to unlock that potential within themselves. This experience wasn't just something that happened to me, it became the driving force behind my life's work. The first step in this process is awareness. You can't change what you're not aware of. So, the first task is to become more mindful of your thoughts. Start to pay attention to the mental chatter that's constantly running in the background of your mind. What are the recurring themes? What are the dominant emotions? Are your thoughts mostly positive or negative? Are they empowering or limiting? This can be more challenging than it sounds. Many of us are so accustomed to our habitual thought patterns that we don't even realize they're there. They're like background noise, something we've become so used to that we no longer notice it. But with practice, you can begin to tune in to your inner dialogue, to become more aware of the thoughts that are shaping your reality. One helpful technique for developing this awareness is to simply observe your thoughts without judgment. Don't try to suppress them or change them right away. Just notice them. Imagine that you're watching a movie of your mind, observing the thoughts as they come and go without getting caught up in them. This detached observation can help you to see your thought patterns more clearly, to identify the negative or limiting beliefs that are holding you back. Once you've become more aware of your negative thoughts, the next step is to challenge them. Ask yourself, are these thoughts really true? Is there any evidence to support them? Or are they just stories I've been telling myself for years? Often, when we examine our negative thoughts closely, we find that they're based on faulty assumptions, distorted perceptions, or outdated beliefs. They're not grounded in reality. They're just mental constructs that we've created and reinforced over time. Once you've identified a negative thought and you've challenged its validity, you can begin to replace it with a more positive and empowering affirmation. An affirmation is a positive statement that you repeat to yourself, either mentally or aloud, with the intention of reprogramming your subconscious mind. It's a way of planting new seeds of thought in the fertile ground of your subconscious. For example, if you have a recurring thought that you're not good enough, you could replace it with the affirmation, I am capable and worthy of love and success. Or if you struggle with self doubt, you could affirm, I believe in myself and my abilities. The key is to choose affirmations that resonate with you, that feel authentic and believable. Don't just pick something that sounds good on paper. Choose affirmations that speak to your deepest desires, your highest aspirations, your true potential. And when you repeat these affirmations, do it with feeling. Don't just recite them mechanically. Immerse yourself in the emotion of the affirmation. Feel it as if it were already true. Now, simply repeating affirmations isn't enough. You have to consistently practice these new thought patterns. Just like learning a new language requires consistent practice, rewiring your brain requires consistent effort. The more you repeat your affirmations, the stronger those new neural pathways become. The more you dwell on positive and empowering thoughts, the more those thoughts will become your default mode of thinking. This takes time and patience. You're not going to change your thought patterns overnight. There will be times when your old negative thoughts creep back in. That's perfectly normal. Don't get discouraged. Just gently redirect your attention back to your affirmations, back to the positive and empowering thoughts you want to cultivate. Think of it like tending a garden. You have to consistently weed out the negative thoughts, the unwanted beliefs, and plant new seeds of positive affirmations. You have to nurture those seeds, water them, and give them time to grow. But with consistent effort, with persistent practice, you will eventually see results. You will start to notice a shift in your thinking, a change in your emotional state, a greater sense of confidence and self belief. And as your thoughts change, your reality will begin to change as well. Because the power to transform your life begins with the power to transform your mind. Before we move on to other techniques, it's essential to talk about a powerful tool for mental transformation, a practice that has been used for centuries to cultivate inner peace, enhance focus, and deepen self-awarenessness. Meditation. Now, when I say meditation, I'm not just talking about sitting quietly for a few minutes and trying to clear your mind. I'm talking about a specific set of techniques that can actually change the structure and function of your brain, rewiring it for greater resilience, clarity, and well being. In today's fast paced world, our minds are constantly bombarded with information, distractions, and stimuli. We're always multitasking, always connected, always on the go. This constant mental activity can lead to stress, anxiety, and a sense of overwhelm. It can also make it incredibly difficult to focus, to concentrate, to truly be present in the moment. Our minds become like a runaway train, jumping from one thought to another, making it hard to control our attention and direct our focus. Meditation is a way to regain control of that runaway train. It's a way to train your mind to become more focused, more present, more still. It's a way to cultivate inner peace and calm amidst the chaos of daily life. And it's an essential tool for mental transformation. One of the primary benefits of meditation is that it helps to quiet the internal chatter. It helps to calm the constant stream of thoughts that are running through our minds. When we meditate, we're not trying to stop thinking altogether. That's impossible. Thoughts are a natural part of being human. What we're doing is learning to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. We're learning to become the witness of our own minds, rather than being swept away by the current of our thoughts. This process of observation is key to mental transformation. When we can observe our thoughts without judgment, we can begin to see them more clearly. We can start to identify the patterns, the recurring themes, the emotional charge behind them. And this awareness is the first step towards changing those patterns. Meditation also helps to strengthen our ability to focus. When we practice meditation regularly, we're essentially training our minds to become more disciplined, more focused, more attentive. We're strengthening the neural pathways that support concentration and mental clarity. And this increased focus translates into all areas of our lives. We become more productive at work, more present in our relationships, more engaged in our daily activities. But the benefits of meditation go far beyond just improved focus. Research has shown that meditation can actually change the structure and function of the brain. It can increase the gray matter in certain areas associated with attention, emotion regulation, and self-awareness. It can also strengthen the connections between different brain regions, leading to greater mental clarity and emotional resilience. In essence, meditation is like a workout for your brain. It's a way to exercise your mental muscles, to strengthen your ability to control your thoughts, to manage your emotions, and to cultivate a greater sense of inner peace. And this mental fitness is essential for mental transformation, because when our minds are calm, focused, and resilient, we're much better equipped to make the changes we want to make in our lives. We're much better able to break free from limiting beliefs, to overcome negative thought patterns, and to create a new reality for ourselves. There are many different types of meditation, and it's important to find a practice that resonates with you. Some people prefer guided meditations, where a teacher or a recording leads them through the process. Others prefer silent meditation, where they simply sit quietly and observe their own thoughts and sensations. There are also active forms of meditation, such as walking meditation or yoga, where the focus is on movement and breath. The key is to experiment with different techniques and find what works best for you. Start with short periods of meditation, maybe just 5 or 10 minutes a day, and gradually increase the duration as you become more comfortable with the practice. Consistency is more important than length. It's better to meditate for a few minutes every day than to meditate for an hour once a week. And don't get discouraged if your mind wanders during meditation. That's perfectly normal. The goal is not to stop thinking altogether. The goal is to gently redirect your attention back to your breath or to whatever object of focus you've chosen whenever you notice your mind wandering. This process of gently redirecting your attention is itself a form of mental training. It's a way of strengthening your ability to focus and concentrate. Meditation is not just a relaxation technique, it's a powerful tool for mental transformation. It's a way to cultivate greater self awareness, to quiet the internal chatter, to strengthen your ability to focus, and to rewire your brain for greater resilience and well being. And it's an essential practice for anyone who is serious about creating lasting change in their lives. Before we discuss the practical steps for healing, it's vital to acknowledge a significant hurdle on the path to personal transformation: emotional pain. We all carry emotional baggage, wounds from the past, traumas that we've experienced. These emotional scars can linger for years, even decades, affecting our relationships, our self esteem, and our overall well being. And one of the biggest challenges we face is learning how to move beyond these past traumas, how to heal those emotional wounds, and how to create a new future for ourselves that's not defined by our past pain. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting that we should simply ignore or suppress our emotional pain. That's not the answer. True healing requires us to acknowledge our pain, to feel it, to process it. We can't just bypass our emotions and pretend that everything is okay. That's like putting a band aid on a broken bone. It might provide temporary relief, but it doesn't address the underlying issue. The first step in overcoming emotional pain is to allow yourself to feel it. Don't judge yourself for feeling the way you feel. Don't try to push the pain away. Instead, create a safe space for yourself to experience your emotions fully. Allow yourself to cry, to grieve, to feel the anger, the sadness, the fear. It's important to remember that emotions are not inherently bad. They're simply messengers, providing us with information about our inner state. And when we allow ourselves to feel our emotions, we can begin to understand what they're trying to tell us. So, how do we move beyond past traumas? One of the most effective ways is to change our relationship to our past. Instead of seeing our past as something that happened to us, we can choose to see it as a learning experience, a catalyst for growth. We can ask ourselves, what did I learn from this experience? How did it make me stronger? How can I use this experience to help others? This shift in perspective is crucial. It allows us to reclaim our power, to move from being a victim of our circumstances to being a survivor, a thrive. It allows us to see our past not as a burden, but as a source of wisdom and resilience. Another important step in overcoming emotional pain is to replace negative emotions with positive ones. This doesn't mean that we should try to force ourselves to feel happy when we're feeling sad. That's not authentic. What it means is that we can choose to focus our attention on positive aspects of our lives, on things that bring us joy, gratitude, and hope. This is where the practice of mindfulness can be incredibly helpful. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. When we're mindful, we're not dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We're simply present, experiencing the here and now. And when we're present, we can begin to appreciate the good things in our lives, the moments of joy, the connections with others, the beauty of the world around us. Cultivating gratitude is another powerful way to shift our emotional state. When we focus on what we're grateful for, we're shifting our attention away from what we're lacking, away from our pain and suffering. And the more we focus on gratitude, the more we attract positive experiences into our lives. It's also important to surround ourselves with positive influences, with people who uplift us, who support us, who believe in our potential. The energy of the people around us can have a profound impact on our emotional state. So choose your company wisely. Spend time with people who make you feel good, who inspire you, who encourage you to grow. Overcoming emotional pain is not an easy journey. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to be vulnerable, but it's a journey that's worth taking. Because when we heal our emotional wounds, we free ourselves to live more fully, more authentically, more joyfully. We open ourselves up to new possibilities, new relationships, new experiences, and we create a future for ourselves that's not defined by our past pain, but by our resilience, our strength, and our capacity for love and joy. It's about understanding that healing is not linear. There will be setbacks, there will be moments of doubt, but with consistent effort, with self compassion, and with a commitment to growth, we can move beyond our past traumas and create a brighter future for ourselves. One story that comes to mind is about a woman named Maria. Maria had been struggling with chronic pain for years. She had seen countless doctors, tried numerous treatments, but nothing seemed to help. She was resigned to a life of suffering, convinced that her pain was something she would just have to live with. Then she discovered the power of meditation and visualization. She began to practice these techniques consistently, visualizing herself as healthy and pain free. She also started to challenge her limiting beliefs about her body and her ability to heal. Slowly but surely, Maria's pain began to subside. She regained her mobility, her energy, her joy. She went from being a victim of her pain to being a master of her own health. Another story that inspires me is about a man named David. David had been struggling with addiction for many years. He had tried to quit countless times, but he always relapsed. He felt like he was trapped in a cycle of self destruction, unable to break free. Then he learned about the power of rewiring the brain. And then there's the story of Sarah. Sarah had been struggling with anxiety and depression for most of her adult life. She felt like she was constantly living in fear, overwhelmed by negative thoughts and emotions. She had tried therapy, medication, but nothing seemed to provide lasting relief. Then she discovered the power of mindfulness. She began to practice mindfulness throughout the day, paying attention to her thoughts and emotions without judgment. She learned to observe her anxiety and depression without getting caught up in them. These are just a few examples of the countless individuals who have transformed their lives using these principles. And while their stories are unique, they share a common thread: perseverance through discomfort. None of these individuals achieved their transformations overnight. They faced challenges, they experienced setbacks, they had moments of doubt, but they didn't give up. They persevered through the discomfort, they stayed committed to their goals, and they ultimately achieved remarkable results. These stories are not meant to be exceptional, they are meant to be examples of what's possible for all of us. They are meant to inspire us, to remind us that we all have the potential to heal, to grow, to transform. Because the same principles that worked for Maria, David, and Sarah can work for you too. The power to change resides within each and every one of us. It's just a matter of learning how to harness it. These individuals, like many others, faced their discomfort head on. They didn't shy away from the challenges. They embraced them as opportunities for growth. They understood that discomfort is a natural part of the process of change, and they were willing to move through it. to push beyond their limitations, to step into a new version of themselves. And that's the key. It's not about avoiding discomfort, it's about embracing it, learning from it, and using it as fuel for your transformation. Before we conclude, let's talk about some practical tips, daily routines that you can incorporate into your life to reinforce these new thought patterns, to solidify the changes you're making, and to make this process of mental transformation a sustainable part of your life. Because knowledge is only potential power. It's the application of that knowledge, the consistent practice of these principles that brings about real and lasting change. One of the most powerful tools you can use is the practice of morning affirmations. How you start your day sets the tone for the entire day. If you wake up with negative thoughts, with worries and anxieties, that's the energy you're going to carry with you throughout the day. But if you start your day with positive affirmations, with intentions and affirmations, you're setting yourself up for success. Take a few minutes each morning, even before you get out of bed, to repeat your affirmations. These are the positive statements you've chosen to replace your negative thought patterns. Say them with feeling, with conviction, with belief. Imagine that these affirmations are already true. Feel the emotions associated with them. Visualize yourself living the life you want to create. For example, instead of waking up and thinking, I'm going to have a terrible day, you could affirm, I am filled with energy and enthusiasm. I am ready to embrace all the opportunities that this day brings. Or instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, you could affirm, I am capable and worthy of love, success, and happiness. The key is to be consistent with this practice. Make it a part of your daily routine, just like brushing your teeth or having your morning coffee. The more you repeat these affirmations, the more they will become ingrained in your subconscious mind. They will become your new default mode of thinking. Another essential daily practice is meditation. We've talked about the benefits of meditation, how it can quiet the internal chatter, enhance focus, and rewire the brain. But it's not enough to just meditate occasionally. To truly reap the benefits, you need to make it a regular practice, ideally a daily practice. Even just a few minutes of meditation each day can make a significant difference. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Observe your thoughts as they come and go without judgment. If your mind wanders, gently redirect your attention back to your breath. Don't worry about clearing your mind completely. That's not the goal. The goal is simply to observe your thoughts, to become more aware of your mental patterns, and to cultivate a sense of inner peace. As you meditate more regularly, you'll find it easier to quiet the mental chatter and to access a deeper state of calm and focus. And finally, I highly recommend journaling as a tool for self reflection and personal growth. Journaling is a way to track your progress, to identify your challenges, and to gain insights into your own thought patterns and behaviors. It's a way to process your emotions, to release pent up feelings, and to gain clarity about your goals and aspirations. Take a few minutes each day, perhaps in the evening, to reflect on your experiences. What were your successes? What were your challenges? What did you learn about yourself? What could you do differently next time? Don't just write about the external events of your day. Explore your internal landscape as well. What were your thoughts? What were your emotions? What were your reactions? By journaling about your inner world, you can gain valuable insights into your own patterns and behaviors. You can identify the triggers that lead to negative thoughts and emotions, and you can develop strategies for coping with those triggers more effectively. Journaling can also be a way to track your progress. As you consistently practice these techniques, you'll start to notice changes in your thinking, your emotions, and your behavior. You'll start to see evidence of your transformation. And by writing about these changes in your journal, you can reinforce your progress and stay motivated on your journey. It's also important to journal about your setbacks. We all have moments when we slip back into old patterns, when we struggle with negative thoughts or emotions. That's perfectly normal. It's part of the process. But instead of beating yourself up about it, use these setbacks as learning opportunities. Reflect on what triggered the setback. What could you have done differently? How can you prevent similar setbacks in the future? By journaling about your setbacks, you can turn them into valuable lessons. You can learn from your mistakes and use them as stepping stones on your path to transformation. Because it's not about being perfect, it's about being willing to learn, to grow, and to keep moving forward even when you stumble along the way. These daily practices, morning affirmations, regular meditation, and journaling, are powerful tools for reinforcing new thought patterns, cultivating self awareness, and creating lasting change. They are the building blocks of a transformed life. Before we conclude, I want to delve a little deeper into the science behind transformation, to explore the neurological mechanisms that make all of this possible, because understanding how the brain works, how it changes, how it adapts, can be incredibly empowering. It can give us a greater appreciation for the power we have to shape our own minds and our own realities. The key concept we're going to explore is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change and adapt throughout our lives. It's the brain's capacity to form new connections, to reorganize itself, to create new neural pathways based on our experiences, our thoughts, and our actions. This is a groundbreaking discovery in neuroscience. For many years, it was believed that the brain was fixed, that it stopped developing after a certain age. But we now know that this is simply not true. The brain is constantly evolving, constantly changing, constantly rewiring itself. Think of your brain as a vast network of interconnected neurons. These neurons communicate with each other through electrical and chemical signals. When you have a thought, a feeling, or an experience, certain neurons fire together, creating a neural pathway. The more you repeat that thought, feeling, or experience, the stronger that pathway becomes. It's like walking through a field. The first time you walk through, you're just bending the grass. But the more you walk the same path, the more visible it becomes until eventually it's a well worn trail. The same is true for our neural pathways. The more we use them, the stronger they become. This is why repetition is so important when it comes to mental transformation. When you're trying to change a deeply ingrained thought pattern, you're essentially trying to create a new neural pathway. You're trying to rewire your brain. And just like learning a new skill or a new language, this takes time and practice. The more you repeat the new thought pattern, the more you reinforce the new neural pathway, and the weaker the old pathway becomes. This is also why it's so important to be mindful of our thoughts, because every thought we think is shaping our brain. Every time we dwell on a negative thought, we're strengthening that negative neural pathway. And the more we think negative thoughts, the more ingrained those thoughts become. They become automatic, habitual, almost unconscious. But the good news is that we can intentionally choose which pathways we want to strengthen. We can consciously choose to think positive thoughts, empowering thoughts, thoughts that support our goals and aspirations. And the more we think these positive thoughts, the stronger those positive neural pathways become. They become our new default mode of thinking. This is where the practice of affirmations comes in. When you repeat an affirmation, you're not just saying words, you're actually creating a new neural pathway in your brain. And the more you repeat that affirmation, the stronger that pathway becomes. Eventually, the affirmation becomes a belief, a deeply ingrained belief that shapes your reality. The same is true for our actions. Our actions also shape our brains. When we engage in certain behaviors, we're reinforcing the neural pathways associated with those behaviors. So, if you want to change a behavior, you need to change the neural pathways that are driving that behavior. And the best way to do that is to consistently practice the new behavior. For example, if you want to become more confident, you can't just think positive thoughts. You also need to act confidently. You need to engage in behaviors that demonstrate confidence, even if you don't feel confident at first. The more you act confidently, the stronger the neural pathways associated with confidence will become. And eventually, you will become genuinely confident. This is why it's so important to take action, to put these principles into practice. It's not enough to just think about changing. You have to actually do the work. You have to consistently practice the new thought patterns, the new behaviors, the new habits that you want to cultivate, because it's through our thoughts and our actions that we shape our brains, and it's through our brains that we shape our reality. So let's recap what we've covered in this video. We've explored the incredible power of the mind-body connection, how our thoughts and emotions can literally shape our reality. We've discussed the science behind neuroplasticity, how our brains are constantly changing and adapting, and how we can intentionally rewire our brains for greater well-being. We've talked about the importance of embracing discomfort as a catalyst for growth, understanding that challenges are not roadblocks, but rather stepping stones on our path to transformation. Now, I want to leave you with one final thought. Personal transformation is not a destination. It's a journey. It's a continuous process of growth, learning, and evolution. And it's a journey that's available to each and every one of you. You have the power within you to create the life you want to live. You have the ability to heal, to grow, to transform. But it requires action. It requires a willingness to step outside your comfort zone, to face your fears, to challenge your limiting beliefs. Don't be afraid of discomfort. Embrace it. See it as a sign that you're growing, that you're expanding your capacity, that you're becoming more than you were before. And don't wait for the perfect moment to start. Start now. Start small. Take one step at a time. Every small step you take forward is a victory, and every small victory builds momentum, leading you closer to your goals. Rewiring your mind is not just about feeling better, it's about living better. It's about creating a life that's filled with purpose, joy, and fulfillment. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. And that journey begins with a single thought, a single decision, a single step. So I encourage you to take that first step today. Start practicing these techniques. Start rewiring your mind. Start creating the future you deserve. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us share this message with others. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. We're committed to bringing you more insights, more tools, and more inspiration on your journey of personal transformation. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.